haven't used that time. I've donated the rest of my time to Gyamfi.
No, it is done. Okay, gentlemen. Okay, let's keep focus. Let's keep focus.
7 minutes.
Are you the host?
7.
No.
Were you the host when you were talking about his time?
Please,
7 minutes.
Let's keep
7 minutes.
because I indicated that you said you wanted him to speak first. I said.
Richard
Make your point preliminary.
Can we crowdfund this campaign?
Have you told you this money?
Okay.
The people he's going against are very formidable, so we may want to crowdfund him.
Let me bring you on this, and you see on where Mr. Bentil ended about Godfrey Dame. He issued a statement yesterday. He described this Court of Appeal judgment as very weak. That he has read, and I'm quoting from the statement, I have read the judgment and my initial comments are that it is poor in reasoning, poor in analysis, and lacks proper evaluation of the evidence on record. The judgment is very weak and cannot meet legal scrutiny. If the charge sheet, as they claim, was defective, then there are two ways or two key statutes the Court of Appeal ought to have considered. And that is what I referenced earlier. Section 31(2) of the Court Act is clear that an appellate court shall not allow an appeal on the grounds of a defective charge sheet, provided there is evidence on record to support the conviction.
So, actually, I didn't finish.
Regardless of how the charges were framed.
Gyamfi stampeded me out, but maybe this point is important. I was developing a point that we distrust our prosecutors. The evidence is there. That is another reason why the OSP's office should be strengthened and all prosecutions should go there.
Okay.
Because you have a situation where the current Attorney General inherited a case of his personal friend, Sedina. Okay. That thing creates a trust deficit. So going forward, I am looking across the political lines and saying we need, if we are serious about fighting this corruption thing, we need to get to a point where we trust what our prosecutors do and that cases can transit prosecutors and not be so affected by politics, because that's a major problem that we have. And part of what you read is the same, goes to the same point. So, Professor Gyamfi, don't be stampeding me next time. Let me finish my thoughts.
So Alfred, first of all, I listened to my senior Martin Kpebu. I listened to the other two. And I have no doubt at all that this morning, my learned senior Kofi Bentil decided not to do law, but politics.
Why is that?
And the reason why he decided not to do law, but politics, is that with all his learning of the law, it would be extremely difficult for him to undermine this judgment. And so conveniently, he chose the path of politics instead of law. But our training is law. The politics is just an addition, regrettably. This morning, my learned senior pontificates very strange legal propositions. One is that an American court can have a say on criminal charges filed in a Ghanaian court yet to be determined. Where from this learning, Bentil?
You don't want me to answer?
No.
You don't want me to answer?
No.
Then no, that question is wrong.
Because
wrong question.
The American court does not have supervisory jurisdiction over the Ghanaian court.
Nobody is saying that. When you ask them to extradite somebody, you brought me in. You ask them to extradite somebody. You effectively ask them to look at what you are doing, and they judge it. They said you don't look serious.
Can I proceed?
So don't be me. I have to respond.
As we speak, there is no decision on extradition in respect of Ken Ofori Atta. Ken Ofori Atta requested for permanent U.S. residency, among others, and he went before an immigration court. It is that immigration court that had given a decision. There's no question whether Ken can be extradited or not. So what are you talking about?
Nobody is saying that.
The request for extradition by the Republic is yet to be decided. So please don't mislead the public.
Right.
We owe it a duty.
He should make his point.
Right. Look, you see, I have seen a wayward American judge who decided to engage in judicial waywardness by pronouncing on criminal charges filed in a Ghanaian court, yet to be decided. Today, as we speak, the United States of America is fighting even the International Criminal Court.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the International Criminal Court,
Yes. They are not.
Secretary of State Rubio, Marco Rubio, is saying that the judges there are lunatics. And you have a Ghanaian lawyer. Please, let us not sell our sovereignty for people.
When you extradited
okay,
people
thank you.
without
Now-
proper
now-
process.
Now let me
Sovereignty.
deal with the substantive matter. First of all, we are being told that when a charge sheet is defective, that defectiveness should be overlooked. Proceed. My Lord Justice Kwega, in his validatory judgment, Osekwejo II and the Republic, said the provision you read relates to Act 30. However, the 1992 Constitution has raised particularity relative to charge sheet to a constitutional pedestal. Article 19, 1D. And for that matter, where particulars are defective, you cannot use evidence to cure that defect. And so if you look, SEDI had 2 appeals. When prosecution called its 6 witnesses, the prosecution said they have closed their case. A submission of no case was done. One of the issues SEDI raised right from the beginning had to do with the defectiveness of the charge. The High Court judge said, proceed and answer the charges. That submission of no case was appealed against. And if you read the notice of appeal and the grounds in respect of the submission of no case, included the fact that, included the fact that one of it clearly had to do with the defective charge sheet. So it is in the notice of appeal.
The 2024 one?
Yes. And no, so the first appeal was August 2023. That was when she was called to open her defense. But then they raised that issue. Now, when the judgment was delivered in May 2024, if you look at the notice of appeal filed on the 9th of May 2024, in that notice is the omnibus ground. Which omnibus ground is the fact that the judgment is unreasonable, having regards to the evidence on record. All of us lawyers here seated know that once that omnibus grounds of appeal is raised, the entire proceeding is subject to review. And that is why we say appeal is by way of what? Rehearing. It means that everything that happened at the trial court, the appellate court is put in that position. Obviously, they don't have the benefit of assessing demeanors. Because the trial court is the only one that gets the opportunity to see witnesses and others. The appellate, they are just going to look at just the record without more. Okay. Now, I have heard the former Attorney General, the former persecutor, say that the notice of appeal was not brought to his attention.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Can you imagine? Clearly, it shows you that the guy was sleeping on the job.
Well, this is the part of the statement. He says no notice of an appeal filed by Sedina in 2024 came to the attention of the office of the Attorney General in my tenure.
Please, hold on. I've read the statement.
And deal with the records too.
Please, I've read the statement.
The records were not also filed.
I'll deal with it. You see, Kofi, you're a lawyer. Don't do this.
Hey, master.
Senior.
Bring me in. I'll
No,
defend myself.
yes, you will. But my point is that as lawyers, there's a bigger standard placed on us. With the greatest of respect to you, you can't speak like Anyaba. He is a politician. He is permitted to express any opinion, anyhow, desirable. But you, a standard is placed on you. You cannot sacrifice that standard on the altar of political expediency. Why do I say so? On the 9th of May 2024, the notice of appeal was filed at the registry of the High Court. Whose permission or duty is it to serve that notice? SEDI? 2, the point had been made that pieces of the records were even missing. Look, I have with me the decision of the Court of Appeal differently constituted because the Attorney General brought an application before the Court of Appeal for ratification of the record. Is that not the procedure that the rules permit when you have issues about the records is to apply for ratification? The Attorney General applied to the Court of Appeal presided over by Justices Georgina Dacha, Amedahe, and another one, who reviewed, in fact, said these lawyers opposed the application on the grounds that the very document they claimed were missing are document that the prosecution itself disclosed to them. And so for that matter, you cannot be saying that your own document is missing from the record. Said these lawyers oppose it. The Court of Appeal looked at the two sides and came to the conclusion that regardless of the fact, your claim that the prosecution has it already, our decision is that the records ought to be done again. And those documents submitted to the Attorney General. Mm-hmm. Are you aware of that? And so, what have you decided to do? Bandy misleading information to cheer up your supporters who have lost an election. Said it's not the reason why you lost your election, a devastating election. Said it's not the reason. Now, there are substantive matters. First of all, the counts were 78. The defective counts were even less than 10. Mm-hmm. The rest of the charges were evaluated on their merit. You did a shoddy work, poor work. Godfrey supervised the poor work.
That's why he disagrees with you.
And you know why? He never took his work serious.
What do you mean by that?
Yes. And I'll tell you. And you see, sometimes when I listen to Godfrey, I say, look.
I beg, the man is not here. Stop.
But the statement he issued, what do you think he was doing? This is an innocent person that he seeks to attack and destroy.
Who is the innocent person he's attacking?
Oh.
The man is AG doing his work. If he's here, he will defend himself. Kofi, but I am complaining.
So let him finish.
No.
Let me make my point. Let me make my point. I've listened to him.
So are you referencing the statement he made?
Yes, the statement he made. I'm not permitted. Who issued the statement?
No, you deal with the statement.
No, Kofi, who issued the statement? What is this trying? Imagine if it's found that there was no notice of appeal. Do you know what Godfrey would have succeeded in doing? Is to undermine even the judges. Why would you have entertained an appeal when there is no notice of appeal?
Are you referencing this particular document?
See the date, 9th. Where is it? The registry of the High Court. 9th May 2024. Signed, High Court, Accra. This is fictitious, shameful. And you think this person should be taken serious? And you see, the painful part of this conversation is that, and like I said, this is not one who. In the Ato Forson matter, the same shoddy work was done by him. What happened? The same High Court judge says the burden was shifted on Ato Forson. Look, I've always maintained the only work I would do permanent is to be a lawyer.
And
It's to be a lawyer.
Petrol. Right now, you sell petrol.
That's why I say permanent. This one is not chieftaincy title. I will leave it. You understand? So I have always been cautious in dealing with legal matters, particularly those that borders on the liberty of an individual. The liberty. You have a situation where the justices of the Court of Appeal had the opportunity of evaluating. And look, I am not surprised. Look, when the Court of Appeal acquitted and discharged Ato Forson, go and look at Godfrey's statement he issued immediately. Was to attack the justices of the Court of Appeal. That's him.
Because it didn't go in.
Because it didn't go his way. This is an attorney general who today, a former attorney general who today, the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Council had found a prima facie case of professional misconduct against him.
He says the Republic
When was the
had
last time
nothing
you saw
to do.
this happen?
Said the Republic had nothing to do in this 2024 matter in terms of the conduct of that appeal.
Look, let me just go
That's
ahead.
what he references.
The office of the Attorney General does not belong to Godfrey Dame. It is an office that continues. The state prosecutor on record, if you read the judgment, the Court of Appeal judgment, you have it.
Yes.
There's a named individual there, Hilda Craig. She was part of the people who prosecuted the case before the High Court. She handled the appeal and a different outcome. Unless, of course, my friend here, and listening to Ahiagba has, won't me filed a notice of appeal?
I know that the process underway. I don't know if they're found.
Yes, this was
So
on
the understanding I get
Monday
from
or
you
Tuesday.
is that you expect only one outcome from the Court of Appeal, a dismissal of the appeal.
No, not exactly. I didn't say that. I didn't suggest that.
You didn't know why I asked you that question.
Well, I didn't suggest that. so.
Think through my question.
Think about what Martin said earlier. Before you answer.
But you see, I asked you this question for an obvious reason.
So that is a blackmail question that you asked.
It's a trick question.
Yeah, it's a blackmail question.
You see,
What's the point?
you see, the point I am making is that, Alfred, I've heard people who have not even read the judgment pontificate on it. Yeah. This morning, when I listened to my learned senior.
Your learned senior Martin says,
No, you.
Your
I'm coming.
Listen to him
You
too.
would stay calm.
Rehearing was the normal
Kofi.
outcome of this.
Kofi, listen to me.
Depends on your philosophy.
Listen. No, what philosophy?
learned
He is
senior,
not
you
even.
listen to him.
My point is that, Kofi, with the greatest of respect to you, you have not exhausted this judgment. You have not. I've listened to you, and you have not. And you have
Tell me
not.
where.
You have not because if you read this judgment, it will expose your prejudices.
What exactly?
What
are you
I've
talking
read
about?
confirms what I've said.
You see,
But you have not read all.
please, the defective
himself
charges,
hasn't read
the
it.
defective charges, for instance, count 45, conspiracy to commit crime, namely, willfully causing financial loss to the state, contrary to section so and so. Now listen to the particulars. Said the now Christian Tamaklo Ationo, Daniel Axim, April 2016, in Accra, in the Greater Accra region, agreed to act together with a common purpose to willfully cause financial loss to the state. That's it. Kofi, you read
What's your
criminal
point?
procedure.
Point.
We both did criminal procedure because without it, you won't be a lawyer. Is that how you put a criminal charge?
Martin is an authority in criminal law. He says the point here, if you read everything.
Martin never said
He
that.
never said it's an.
Martin,
He is not saying, I am saying.
Please stop.
I am saying he's
Please
an
stop.
authority in that. He says the natural conclusion. I agree with him. That's what I'm saying. So.
Hold on.
You are referring to
Hold on.
someone as
He's an authority. Martin is an authority.
Because
They study him in criminal.
please.
You bring me in, I'll answer you.
I beg you.
He said rehearing is the normal thing that you should have expected in this case.
Because,
If you keep-
You
because
should stay on his
if
case.
if you read the counts, a count should be an invitation to offer a defense. So the count must contain an act or omission. Where is it here?
You are wrong.
So, please, why am I?
No,
wait,
Mr. Bentil,
for the public's sake.
Why
I'll come to
public
you. We
sake?
just noted.
A count is not an invitation to offer a defense. A count is a statement that the prosecution must
Mr.
prove.
Bentil, Mr. Bentil.
You see, you don't even know what you are talking about. Senior.
Okay, no
So
problem.
if you
So
look,
easy.
Yes.
in the Republic versus Ernest Thompson, Ernest Thompson challenged the charges that were brought against him. The High Court dismissed it. He said the charges were defective. He went to the Court of Appeal. He further appealed to the Supreme Court. I invite you to read my Lord Justice Tanko's reasoning. My Lord Justice Tanko took the view that the charge must contain a certain level of sufficiency to meet a constitutional threshold. The lack of it is not cured by amendment. You strike it out. Now, on appeal, if you strike a charge out, everything found on it will collapse. So it is not the charge sheet that was struck out, but specific counts. Those counts that meet the constitutional threshold were allowed to stand. Now, what the judges did,
Ruled against.
what the judges then did was now go into the merit, the specific merit of those counts. My senior, what's the name, Martin, raised a very interesting point. Which interesting point had to do with the specifics, the counts. He's done an extremely good job on it. If you pick, for instance, the one bordering on causing financial loss to the states, about the buses, okay? The buses that were
But for GPRTU.
bought, 350 buses.
Somebody commits a crime.
Your challenge was that
Say somebody pays.
he had committed causing financial loss to the state. In the charge of causing financial loss, the fundamental thing that you have to establish is that, in fact, the person authorized payment. Because without it, the charge will not succeed. It is not a charge that is left hanging. The charge must found factual basis. So the justice of the Court of Appeal reasoned otherwise and said, your charge is that ABCD was not done, for which reason you are charging the appellant. By your own prosecution, and guess who the first prosecution witness was? The current MP for Inshiaso, Sticker. He was the first prosecution witness. Now, guess what happened under cross-examination of Mr.
Stephen Amwa. Dr.
Stephen Amwa.
Dr.
I
Stephen
always
Amwa.
still call him Sticker.
Dr. Stephen Amwa.
Exactly. Under cross-examination, lawyers for SEDI asked him a very specific question. And also the Director of Finance was brought in as the fifth prosecution witness, the Director of Finance of Maslock. So the question was put to him. I'm trying to retrieve that particular portion. Because you see, Alfred, I think that people need to see what is on record. When you see what is on record, if you can still, in the face of those evidence or pieces of evidence on record, still come to a different conclusion, then yours is just not a question of law, but you are looking at something else. Alfred, permit me to read it.
On where exactly? So that, while we flip through.
No, I'm going to the records, the records of proceedings. Sticker. Okay. PW1. You will see his testimony at page 80 of volume 3 of the record of appeal. Page 80 of volume 3 of the records. Question. You also know from your records that the contract for the acquisition of the vehicles had been signed by your predecessor, but not a single cedi had been paid by Maslock. Is that correct? Answer, yes, my lady. That's Sticker.
That no payments were made.
Yes. Now, at page 294 of volume 3 of the records of proceedings, PW5, the Director of Finance of Maslow, under cross-examination. Question. Your CEO has testified in this court that they renegotiated the entire contract price. Is that the case? Answer. Unfortunately, I cannot speak on my CEO's testimony. Question. I'm asking you personally. Maslow says that the contract price was renegotiated. Is that the case? Answer. From what the person gave to me, yes. This is prosecution witnesses. Now again, at page 297, 294 of volume 3 of the records, question, the same Director of Finance. This renegotiated contract was done for how many years after A1 had left office? Answer, I have no idea. Prosecution witnesses. Question, but you will be able to tell the court when the payment was made. Is that correct? Answer, yes. Question, when was it made? Answer, 2018. A1 exited office first week in January 2017. Is that correct? Answer, that is correct.
A1 talking about setting a tobacco.
Yes. And you people sit here and say that she should be put in prison to make you happy.
So,
what kind of democracy are we running? Now, even shocking.
on what basis? And what do you?
I'm doing merit. I mean, I'll yield to them. I invite you, go to the judgment. Page 85. Please, are you there?
Page 85.
85 of the judgment. And so if anybody tells you that this case was lost on technicalities, the person doesn't even know what he's talking about. Ignorance. 85. Again, PW5, Director of Finance of Maslow, who Godfrey Dami in his wisdom brought to the court as his prosecution witness. When he looked at all the people in this world, he brought PW5 to come and prove his case for him. Competent Dami. Let's see. Question. You tendered Exhibit AD, AC, AB, which relates to payment of end of leave and ex gratia to A1 and her former deputy. Is that correct? Answer. That is correct. Question. The payments were processed by your office. Is that correct? Answer. Very correct. Question. The processing was based on documents relating to the appointment.
Reading court documents.
Relating to the appointment of A1 and her former deputy. Is that correct? Answer. Very correct. In processing for this payment, did you notice anything untoward? Question. No, I did not notice anything untoward. Question. You put your signature under this payment because you did not find anything wrong with this payment. Is that correct? Answer. I authorized those payments because I did not find anything wrong with it.
And this is who speaking?
PW5. Godfrey Dami's witness against SEDI. So if you read this judgment, in the face of this, is that the appellate court, even the Supreme Court, going to vary these records when they are bound by it?
I see.
And so, you see, I have listened to people, I've listened to my two brothers here today, and I'm like asking myself, what kind of justice system do we want? The justice system where my brother Richard Ahiagba can even speculate and conjecture and say that it meets a political convenient statement to put somebody in, even if there is no evidence.
There was a question directed
Richard,
at Martin.
what democracy do you think we'll be building?
I see. No. Mr. Agba, no, you want to come? What was it?
But I didn't have my time to
You say you
make
want
any
to hear him. So that,
so now it's my time.
What's
It's my
the
time.
issue exactly on what he's talking about?
What Edudzi has just done. Edudzi, you made a reference to Article 19(1)(d). Is that what you said? That cures any claim of Section 31(2)?
No, I said the charge sheet must meet that constitutional threshold.
Yeah, so therefore you're saying that Section 31(2) is subservient to 19(1)(d), which, if it's constitutional, is the case. But I don't see it. I just opened it. 19(1)(d). I don't see it there. So maybe if you can advise me, because what I read here doesn't say that. So in other words, 31(2)(c), 31(2) should uphold. The situation we see here.
Should I ask this? Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, go ahead. No, because it's fundamental.
So
he says that because
I'll do my rebuttal.
I'm coming. No, so I can see what he says, because I'm responding to what he says.
Okay.
19(1)(d), I don't see what he says should be the case there.
Oh, no, just give me the context.
You understand? But I'm saying that, Alfred, if we are here committed to fighting corruption, everything my brother Edudzi just read is to the effect that a payment has been made for a commitment of the state to a certain cost. And he says that because it was paid by another person, you understand?
Renegotiated.
And paid by somebody other than the person who committed the state to that payment, then there's no crime.
What?
Are you serious? Do you hear the sound of it, what you're saying? And then Edudzi makes the argument that governance is a continuum. And so was it expected that necessarily Sedna would have been in office to pay for it when it's a continuum? And another person inherits that contract? And ought to
renegotiate.
No.
Because it was bad.
Hold on.
Became what you renegotiated.
No problem.
But
the point here is
What was the
okay, Alfred.
Bring Ofori Atta.
No problem. Just
the point you made about the inheritance of a particular contract.
That's why you
to the extent that
renegotiated.
the contract was renegotiated
it became yours.
and figures changed, reductions made, and
became
payments
yours.
made. Does that still put the burden on the
It's a
person?
different thing if you had paid on that original contract.
Absolutely.
Hold on, let me finish. Does the person who negotiated the contract that you have renegotiated still have the burden of answering for a contract that was never signed?
Alfred, this thing you just asked me. Alfred,
Now let me.
Please go ahead.
this question you just asked, does it sound logical to you?
No, what
Absolutely.
Oh, please.
No. Mr. Agba,
Does it sound logical to you? I'm bewildered.
Are you asking a question about the logic of the question?
Yes, because you have to
what do
be
you
in
mean?
a certain frame of mind to ask me that question.
What exactly are you talking
Well, I'm
about?
coming.
Mr.
Mr. A commits an act that commits a state to a certain payment that is seen as egregious and therefore causing financial loss to the state. Another takes over, identifies the irregularity of it, renegotiated it to save the state money.
Yes.
That action is independent of the original act which committed me to that amount. Are you following the logic I'm trying to advance to you? You commit me to a certain payment. I come in and I charge you for causing financial loss to the state. Then I proceed to mitigate the loss to the state by renegotiating it. And you are saying that the renegotiation I've done should inure to your benefit, when you have committed me to a higher threshold. But I see wisdom and not wanting to waste the state resources, I renegotiated to bring the price down. And you are saying that because I brought it down to pay a lesser amount, you are saying that you should be absolved from
it's regrettable.
Common sense.
No, I mean, you see what is happening?
No. I wanted to listen to the logic of your answer.
I want to help with the logic.
I wanted to listen to the logic of your answer because hold on.
You cancel it.
Hold on.
Yes.
Do you know? And Edudzi and Kweku, you are lawyers. Is that not the case?
Absolutely.
Our contracts.
I was to come to you. You weren't seated.
I didn't do my submission. I beg you. I beg you.
Oh, you did?
No, I didn't. You said something
preliminary. Yes, you made your point.
There was
That will
nothing
come to you
preliminary
now.
about it.
But
I just didn't have my time. I wanted to listen to Edudzi. Now, Alfred, just hold on.
And
the
I
point
wanted
I am
to
making is
understand
that
the logic of your answer, but I still don't get it.
Here's the point. Edudzi and Kweku are lawyers. I want them to answer for me if contracts are sacrosanct.
Not always. We have what we call vitiating factors. If you find that there's misrepresentation, there's mistake, there's undue influence, etc., you can cancel it.
Okay, no problem. No problem. So now let me help you with this. So you are saying that because there was renegotiation in their contract, there were grounds for that contract to be declared void.
Absolutely.
Because
so
negotiate an invalid contract?
So what? You're even undermining the point.
No,
the point is that why can't you not be? Why can't you be quiet? Why can't you be quiet? Because the point that is being made. No. I beg you. No, you can't.
But you see, because
the point I'm making is this: they are majoring on the fact that contract, having been renegotiated, has become another person's crime.
Yes.
No,
and the
I'll come to you.
payment was done by
Hold on.
See, you have your substantive point on this. So let me.
So you have done something wrong, for which we have brought you, to be tried and jailed. Now you are telling me that another who saw the error in what you have done. And no, I'm not explaining. It is you who will not. But the point I'm making to you is that for Edudzi to be reading some courtroom documentation to us, that somebody has committed a crime, which crime another sought to mitigate, because it's a contract that you must hold and execute. And the state, in seeking to execute that contract, see how egregious the amounts are. Go ahead to renegotiate and pay because you owe that person that amount, which you were committed to by the person you are trying. And you are saying that because I executed that contract, the burden of causing that loss becomes mine. I mean, in what world is this logical?
Very
No.
You understand? So, two, my bit of this issue is how Edudzi seeks to make this a courtroom discussion. We are in this country, and the focus of NDC's own election in 2024 was to fight corruption. Lawyer Kweku, sitting by me, was a member of the oral committee, wasn't he? Now, you come to office on the wings of that. And then there are acts that are committed where the state has lost resources.
No, he hasn't paid one CD.
Your own witnesses came to court.
So why did Ken Ofori Atta make that payment you are talking about? Who committed? No, I'm saying that if you're saying that, who committed the state to that transaction?
No, wait. Why you
committed
so
the
if,
state
what's the essence of the question you are asking? That why did Ken Ofori Atta make the payment?
Because Sedinam committed the state to that transaction. And you haven't taken delivery of the vehicles, having taken delivery of those vehicles, was the state going to say we won't pay? Or was the state just going to be? Please.
I'll come to you, Prof. You have your certificate.
And so that is why you pay and you deal with the person who committed you to that fraudulent contract. No. You understand? If the thing is fraudulent, you, the state, have inherited a contract, a fraudulent contract. you have obligation in that contract to execute. But it was your officer who committed you to that. You execute that obligation and punish the person. If your son, please, I don't know what you guys do this thing. If your son is going to turn over somebody's property, maybe knock somebody's car, okay? Do you say, oh, it's my son, is underage and whatnot, and so therefore that crime didn't occur? He didn't damage your property? He did. You deal with your son, but you fix the person's damage. So if Sedinam has committed the state to a certain cost, and Ken Ofori Atta inheriting that contract, or Maslog inheriting that, and has obligation in that contract to execute, and you execute that, and you punish your son, or you punish Sedinam. But you cannot tell me that because Ken has paid that, Sedinam should walk free. Where is that logic coming from? Where is that logic coming from? Where is that coming from? I don't get it.
Okay.
So number two, if you are measuring on that, we'd grant that. But about the other payments, the Obatampa one, okay? What is the defect with that? There was a money advanced to microfinance of Batampa, and then the board of the microfinance states that the interest at 24% is too high. They can't pay. So they won't advance with the business, and so they will return the money. They want to issue check. You say no, they should bring cash.
All these are in the court records.
You selectively didn't read that. Anyway, I'll give it to you to read.
Yes,
anyway.
Please refer to the records.
You don't have anything.
When I was talking, I'll give you page number, the volume. You are not.
No, which part of the
It's
hold on.
Records.
I'll send it to you and you read it once I finish. Everything you were reading, nobody asked you to give it to them. But here's the thing. I don't know. Is Prof here to cheerlead or what? Prof is just here cheerleading. What is happening? It's just cheerleading. You know, so I am saying that she wants, they want check to be issued. You said no. You wanted cash. Cash was brought at Bachona. You received the thing. Okay? And there is a letter showing your acknowledgement of receipt of that amount in cash. There's receipt.
Letter by who?
By the CEO, which is what they're arguing that she then was made to prove that indeed she wrote that letter. And I'm saying that is this administrative process. So you occasion the submission or the return of the funds not in check, and the question is why? Why was it not in check? You gave it to them in check and you want to receive cash. And so the cash came to you, you issue a letter to acknowledge receipt, and then somehow in court you say that you didn't author that letter. But now, hold on. Now, the question is that 500,000 returned to the account of Maslog? Forget about whether there's a letter, I wrote it, I didn't write it. The microfinance has on 2 occasions when they have been written to indicated that they have returned the money. To who? To who? You see, and so you are trying to say that that money is lost to the state, and because there's a letter she said I didn't write it, so that money should be allowed to be dissipated, and nobody should be held accountable for it.
But you see,
I'm not arguing law. I'm telling you the politics of the matter, the basis of why we are dissipating state resources, and you are saying and using courtroom matters to say that that money that we know is lost to the state, somebody should be freed on the basis of you reading some courtroom document. But meanwhile, we have lost the money. We have lost the money. And our commitment is not court document. Our commitment is our money. Where is the money? The money is gone. And you are reading court document to prove to me that the person should not be held accountable. Meanwhile, the money is gone. We're not interested in courtroom matters. Of course, nobody wants to put Sedinam in court if we have our money. So it is not witch hunt. Our money is missing.
Which money?
I'm talking to you about the 500,000. And we can go in all the cases.
But
Like,
you see,
Number two. Now, please, Edudzi.
Number 2, 4 times.
Yeah.
This is not number
This is the
two.
fourth number 2.
you
But
You see, when I tell you, when I tell you that Prof is here, essentially to cheerlead, I don't understand why you bring Prof. All he's to do is quarterbacking for
because no. When it was his
I
turn to
love
speak,
American football.
because I will come to him. Because you see, I asked you. Hold on. Let him focus. I asked you a question about the specific letter that you referenced.
Yes.
Based on the court records, and that's why I can understand why you are being directed to look at the court records. Because if you have it, then maybe when you refer to it, it would help us.
Which
all.
letter you're talking about?
The letter
The one
you
that
said-
she was supposed to have written to acknowledge receipt.
The only evidence tying her based on the court records, and I'm still directing you. Do you have the records?
You quote your thing. I'll share what I have with
The
Edudzi.
only evidence tying her to it was that letter she supposedly signed.
But that's what I'm referring to.
So
So what?
when I asked you the question, you said the one the MD of Obatampa wrote.
No. Says she, as CEO of the company, she wrote that letter to acknowledge the organization only wrote to say that money they had returned it.
But she said cannot vouch for the signature, whether it was
No,
hers or not.
I said it up. I mean, that was the case, what he read. That
No,
in
that's
court,
what is in the court,
wait.
yes.
In court, the issue that the proof, the burden of proof was reversed to her was in the case of that letter. For her to prove whether or not she wrote that letter, she said she didn't write. The signature may look like hers, but she didn't sign it. But meanwhile, there's a letter acknowledging the payment. And I'm telling you that fundamentally, the Obatapa people said they have returned the money. We have not seen the money. The only proof that the money somehow, we have not seen it, and so therefore we shouldn't hold anybody accountable for it, is that Senator says that she didn't sign that letter to acknowledge the receipt of the money. So the question fundamentally is that, where is the money? The people say they have returned the money. The investigation shows the money is not in our account.
But you see,
And so where is the money? That's a
the
fundamental
presumption
question.
of
We haven't
innocence-
seen, please don't
No,
be telling me about
No,
law.
I'm coming.
The
Hold on.
money is
I'm
missing.
just asking
Can
you
you
a
tell
question.
me?
Hold
Can
on.
you tell me? Can you tell me?
Hold
No,
on.
no.
in politics.
But of course, Edudzi, we are not. Here is not courtroom.
Hold on.
Here is not courtroom.
Yes.
Here, no. Here is not courtroom. If you want to review, you go to the court. But here,
because the
our commitment here
here
is to find that our resources are not dissipated.
Anyagba.
And the proof here
But how
is
do we
that the
find
money.
it? How do we find it?
Jumega
And that's what.
Anyagba.
No, hold on.
Was
hold on.
it tried by the mob? Was it tried by the mob?
Mr.
Alfred, you are not ready for us to discuss this question.
Mob justice.
Find answer. What is mob justice? But where you Prof are partnering against one person, you are calling the one person a mob. You are calling the one person a mob. How can one person be a mob? How can one person be a mob?
Mr. Agba, because you are asking questions for us to find resources missing. We cannot do that without understanding what the position of the court was.
What
And so
is your
if you are
confusion?
asking,
What is your
so I'm
confusion?
asking the question that the presumption of innocence doesn't ask an accused to clear her name.
Yeah.
It asks the state to establish guilt.
Okay. So what's your point? This is the thing I'm reading, where you can see the matter relating to the bachelor thing. Yeah.
So then why are you asking about
the judgment.
who?
Yes. So that's where I'm referring the matter from. The bachelor thing.
That was the case of the prosecution.
No, this is a judgment. Yes. So,
Okay,
but that's the prosecution case. That's what we are looking at.
Proceed.
The prosecution.
You proceed.
But is it not the prosecution who says?
And then there's a defense.
No. Let him.
Oh my God! It's just clearly that you don't want us to discuss this issue. You are enabling it, and it's fine. Go ahead.
When will they finish?
No,
If you stop cheerleading, Prof, if you stop cheerleading and allow us to talk, if you stop that,
He's had his turn, spoken, and he's doing. How many minutes?
I
We'll
gave
exhaust
him
this
the
matter,
second
don't
to
worry.
respond to, and the first I timed him 6 minutes. Please end on the point you were making.
Alfred, we must be careful how we engage these matters, how we inform our citizens about wrongs that are done. When we make it about legal technicalities, meanwhile, monies are lost to the state. And we just come and speak high languages and position ourselves as though that we know more than the public, when in fundamental terms, our resources have been dissipated. It doesn't sit well with me when you argue to tell me that somebody commits a state to a certain cost. And because the person commits us to a certain cost, another person pays for it, that person ought to be exonerated. I don't understand it.
Okay.
Number two.
No,
that was the number two I wanted to advance, and then they keep.
Please.
5 times number two.
In our we say Anyagba Duagba.
Duagba. You don't want
to know what that means.
It's difficult. But you see, my surprise here.
Don't. Please.
My surprise here. My surprise here is Martin Kwebu. As for Prof, he's here to cheerlead, so I'm not worried so much. But my surprise is Martin Kwebu, who on the back of NDC's victory was put in a certain group of oral to recover. Okay? And to recover loot.
No, to just take complaints.
No.
As a preparatory group.
No.
We are
for
the recovery of loot. Yes.
So what is different?
What's your point?
So it.
Yes.
Alfred.
Don't distract me. Please.
It's not every day.
You have to choose
your fights carefully.
No.
But you see, when I feel this way, what is happening?
Speak to the issue. I have held everybody.
I am saddened. I am saddened because we are making light of a matter that matters to Ghanaians. People are dying. In fact, in this case, there were market people who were supposed to have benefited from some relief. Women in Kantamanto and the rest. Those monies never got to them. We are talking about the loss of resource to the state.
Never got to them.
Yes. We are talking about loss of resources of the state. And what Edudzi and Lawyer Kwebu are doing, were aided by their principal cheerleader, Prof. Jampo, is to make light of this matter.
Okay.
The state has lost resources. People ought to be held accountable.
Right.
The NDC standard is that their people are above the law, and so they will use legal technicalities to clear them. Edudzi, the Article 19.1 that you said, okay, I will read that, which you said that trumps Section 31.2, which sets a standard, and it is clear that you cannot overturn a judgment on mere claims of defect, has been occasioned. Now, a whole judgment has been have been overturned just because they go to a technical error, which technical error does not explain that the resources in question have been lost to the state.
All right.
The resources themselves have been lost to the state, and you are using technicality to absolve the individual who occasioned that loss. Right. I find that very scandalous. Well, I find that hard to believe when Martin Kwebu is one of the persons promoting that.
All right. So you see, as we await how this appeal will go, the question I asked. Yeah. Which
you ask Lawyer Kwebu. No, please. You grant me this one second. I want to ask a question. I
actually granted you a lot, and it is because
don't be doing this glaring bias things. It is too glaring that you are biased, Alfred.
The evidence is clear for us all to see.
It is too glaring.
I think that the time.
It is too glaring. I am asking just a simple question. I'm asking just a simple question. Whilst Lawyer Kwebu is answering.
Just call Kwebu.
It's okay, no problem. Let me indulge you. The point is that I will want him to explain. The Attorney General filed a stay of execution, okay, to that appeal. Maybe Edudzi can weigh into that. Is that a regular process that will file a stay of execution following the appeal that Sedinam succeeded in getting? She's been discharged and acquitted. Then the Attorney General goes to file stay of execution. Is that regular?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.